I'm Kahja Elliott, and I'm a food enthusiast. Bronx born and raised, ATL made, Bay Area becoming. And I talk to people about how they create community through food in the Bay and beyond. Welcome to the As Told By podcast. Welcome to a new episode of the As Told By podcast. I am here in the Bay this week with an Oakland-based multimedia company providing an array of creative services across a variety of industries. From creative production to educational programming, Diff prides itself on cultivating cohesive multimedia strategies. With a mission to push creative boundaries, co-founders TK Campbell and Lamont Harper are bringing to the forefront their shared passion for marketing, strategic planning, and storytelling, helping artists, brands, and organizations connect with their audiences through creative mediums and innovation. And let me just say, if you're a fan or a listener to the As Told By podcast, you're already familiar with their work. So welcome TK and Lamont to the As Told By podcast.
Hey, happy to be here.
That was a good ass intro. Can I cuss on this?
You can.
Oh, okay.
Y'all on the other side today, on the mic side.
That was a really great intro. You really do this for real?
For real,
I'll be doing it.
And we be editing this.
And you'll be editing it.
This is kind of surreal.
Mm-hmm.
Thank y'all so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, so listen, we're going to start back in the beginning with a little bit of personal background. So for those of y'all here in Oakland, you may know already because y'all are Oakland natives.
That's right.
But we have more than Oakland in the house. So we're going to go back to the beginning for the people who don't know. Y'all go back to grade school together.
Yeah. We
What
went
grade?
to Montero Middle School in the 7th grade is when we met in art class.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mr. Kahja. Shout out Mr. Kahja.
Mm-hmm.
Is he still around?
I'm not sure. I'm not even know.
Hope so.
He was a black man with a little Jerry in the back, little Jerry curl. You know, he'd be like, all right. He had a little, all right.
Yeah, a little southern twang.
Yeah, he was like, all right. He taught me how to shade. Gradients.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So was it like instant friendship? Did y'all just end up seated next to each other and y'all became friends? How did it all start?
I think I probably went up to him like, you knew? Like I remember he had some royal blue, something royal, because my favorite color is blue. Something like he had some royal blue on. I was like, who's this guy?
Mm-hmm. Vivid memory. And he probably said you knew because I transferred in 7th grade. So I wasn't there like 6th grade when everyone else starts. I think we might have had a mutual friend from other people who might have transferred in from 6th grade. But I think it was more like TK was a really good artist back then. I was really good. So we were like probably locked in at an early age on drawing and noticed like each other's talents. Mm-hmm. And then, my favorite color at the time was blue. So yeah,
Okay.
some green flags went up.
And the crazy thing, now I'm thinking about it too, is that we have a friend group. I actually met all of them separate, except G. Because I met him, I met the other guy in our group, other guy I knew from like elementary, and then I met G with Cal.
Okay. So through people, y'all all became friends, first through the color blue, then through your shared love of creativity. And as years went on and evolved, TK, your creativity turned into a music career in your past. So talk about what that was and when you knew it was time to pivot out of music into some other area of creativity.
Yeah, well, I always loved music, some form of music. My grandfather did music. He actually like went blind because of, he had a roofing company in the Bay Area, like a really big, I think, so from what people tell me, it was like a very big roofing business in the East Bay. They moved up from Louisiana, came up here and just made things happen. But he was a musician, right? And then he played all the instruments, right? So I remember being young and seeing him playing instruments, right? Just being taught how to play something. And he was blind because of the tar from the roofing that he would do with my dad and all the rest of his kids when they'd be up on a roof, and he just like some other stuff happened too. I ain't gonna knock the hospital who did it. Matter of fact, the hospital did it actually, but we not gonna go into that really.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm a dramatic person. Whoever's listening,
It's okay.
Yeah, so
you have the drama of the train whistle
in the back.
For those of you who've been here since seasons 2 and 3, you may remember hearing that train in the background because I actually used to record in this space back when I was recording in studio. So let the train be the dramatic backdrop for you.
Sure did. The train, like, lonely train on that midnight train to Georgia. But anyway, so that really exposed me to music. And then my cousin got me a Walkman when I was young, motor cousin. And then I heard a rap and then I just went for it. But really what it was the box. And this is going to tie into one of them. The box gave me a playlist. And the box, for y'all don't know who are young, was a broadcast access type of channel situation where they were just playing random videos, whoever ordered it, right? So it'll be Nirvana, Rakim,
PM Dawn,
all of that, right?
all the things,
all of that, Moby or something like that, or in some old school. So that like kind of gave me an eclectic view. But then I was just like, man, I just want to rap, I guess. I just started having these feelings and just wanted to rap stuff. The stuff that was in my head. I think I rapped about like some spaceships in elementary or something like that. When I met Mont, I was like, yeah, I'm about to start rapping. And I don't know if he rapped before. I just remember him being at my house writing when I was writing a rap. And I was like, wait a minute, you rap too? I remember him sitting on my remember I had a little exercise bench in my room.
Oh yeah, little gold exercise chair.
Exactly.
I didn't know you had been a musician too.
Oh yeah,
Hey, we were in the rap group together.
oh yeah.
Okay, I didn't know you were in the group.
Yes sir.
New information.
Yes ma'am.
Okay.
I did rap when we met. My next door neighbor was a rap artist, and he was under like Too Short's umbrella. So like Too Short used to be over by my house in the neighborhood, and that's kind of how I got exposure to music. He shot music video. I was in the video. I used to have my mom buy the music video on the box so that we can watch it. But absolutely.
Okay. So then, all right, both of you, take me from music to not to multimedia agency, because we're going to get to that, but take me from music to, I want to explore creativity outside of the music industry.
Well, and this is the important part too. Like, we were doing music, high school, got into like our early 20s, maybe like 19, about to be like 20. And I was like, we about to take this serious, right? We started going to the Jamaicans in West Oakland and getting a bunch of 1,000 printed CDs. Shout out to them. I don't know where they at. It was Trap City. Okay. Trying to get that. Mont designed it. This is us like getting our creative chops. Mont designed it. Our first cover for it. He started doing graphic design.
If anyone has one of these floating around Oakland, hit me up. I want to see that.
Yeah, it was called Family.
We had a crew called Family. We produced the music also. Like, that's a big thing. So like our creative journey, it really starts from us being exposed to a lot of different media. We went to all the after school programs. So way back for me, it was like Egypt, which was a broadcast nonprofit program or something on like Bancroft in East Oakland. And then they went to BAMP.
Bump. I work at BAMP.
He works at BAMP now. They went to Bump. We were at Youth Uprising. All the programs, right, where we learned how to produce music, how to record music. Eventually went to BAVAC, so we learned how to build websites, graphic design, how to shoot videos. That kind of started the freelance journey of being self-taught and then doing it for ourselves and then eventually doing it for hire, for service.
And wait, real quick. We got to shout out this. When we were 22 years old, after doing all this, going to BAVAC and all the different things like that, Bump, Bay Unity Music Project, because there was YMR. So a lot of artists that you see come up out of these programs. Kaylani was in the Youth Radio. Was she in Youth Radio?
I'm not sure, but Youth Radio was another big program that had a lot of probably the newer artists that are out now.
She went to OS. It's like OSA, and then they have like the it was Pilo, and I Am Sue, and all of them. So those are the programs we all went into, or in this adjacent area that were coming up. So I just want to shout this out as far as Tajay of Souls of Mischief, hieroglyphics. We got signed to him. Shout out to Casual, who discovered us at the Youth Uprising. He was like, "What song is this?" Mm-hmm. And we were doing this electronic type music that black people wasn't doing. That's why we wasn't getting on, because they wasn't letting us. They never seen no chocolates doing this. But anyway, and then I'll sum it up. I'll sum it up by saying is that if it wasn't for Tajay being in that compound and seeing artists that were doing creative things and taking it extremely serious, needing design from fashion to the hieroglyphics, and Tajay coming to us like, "What you think about these hats?" You know, I'm like, that woke up everything. And having a real PR firm. Shout out to Audible Treats, who I always say this all the time. Michelle taught me how to write an email through yells over the phone, like, "You don't put all the attachments in the email."
Send a link, send a zip folder.
Yeah. She's very
She helped
nice.
you streamline that thing. She helped you streamline
got
it.
him into shape. But yeah, he's right. Tajay, and watching how he operated Hyro, and at the time he had a label, it was called Clear Label. That showed us how to independently hustle and run a business, essentially. Also how to do things for yourself, how to go find pricing, how to get out there and make it happen for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Y'all talk a lot about the, creative foundations of maybe the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s in the Bay Area. But I know you both spent time living outside of the Bay Area. So what about being away from here helped you see it objectively enough to start formulating the idea for what would eventually become Diff Works? What do you feel like you saw when you left here that you didn't see when you were here?
For me, I think for my journey, and I kind of see this for TK because we've known each other for so long, and we basically know each other's story in and out, right? Everything that we've done in our life set up the next thing that was to come. So all the independent and the self-teaching that we learned here before we both left, I went to New York. When I went to New York, I went to school for business management and finance. I was working at a restaurant. I was interning at that same PR company that was helping us put our music out. Then I eventually started interning and worked for a record label called Fool's Gold, which is DJ A-Trax and Nick Catchdubs. They're independent label, so I learned how to do everything yourself, right? From designing and putting out merch to releasing a record to marketing is really, I got my start there, selling out shows and festivals. And then I decided to come back here to the Bay, and then I started working for a company called Noise Pop. From Noise Pop, I went to Live Nation, and then I went to the UC Theater in Berkeley. So music has always kind of been a part of my journey. I transitioned to the business and marketing side of it and creative. So I've always kept that creative element. Mm-hmm. So I'm like a creative strategist. So it's like marketing, design, business. But all of those things have largely been independent organizations. So for me, you get to see the whole thing, how it's running, the P&Ls, the pitfalls, the profit. So that woke you up like, oh, there's really money out here if you're an owner or if you're in a position and you're not just like, a salary worker.
Mm-hmm. And what about you?
For me, it was, 'cause I went to Seattle. Right. And we left about the same time, about 5 years each. And for me, when I went to Seattle, I was like, because I did go to school. I went to Expressions, which was, I learned some things. But when I was there, I was like, what do I got? You know what I'm saying? And then being out there, like, man, do I actually have what it takes? Like, do I got to go back to school, do all these different things? But I was like, I always want to do something creative. But I was working in schools because, like, back home, before I left, I was working at Rise, who we actually work with now, Rise in Richmond, and I was teaching beat production classes and different things like that. And I was like, man, they over here paying me a little bit of nothing, right? So I just started working in these schools, and I challenged myself and became like a coordinator at a Boys and Girls Club, a behavioral interventionist. One lady said, "You're a therapist, the way you talk to these kids." I'm like, really? I'm like, I just be tell them how I feel. I don't want to go through the same thing I'm going through. She said, it starts there, right? So I'm like, okay. Went to the Boys and Girls Club, became a team director, but this team director position also came with like case management. So there was a case management upstairs that we had to get these kids these different things. So I was really being exposed to the corporate angle of working in these schools and seeing the budgets of the nonprofits and seeing all these different things and actually seeing that there's money. There's so much money in this, right? There's so much money, and it wasn't for the money; it's for the kids. But I'm like, why aren't the kids getting this? Why aren't we? It was so much things in my mind. So, in the inception of Diff Works was really because my mind was thinking, we need something we can do. I knew Mont was in New York. I would call Mont, like, Mont, I have an idea. He's like, okay, and we're both Sagittariuses, right? Mm-hmm. So we're all on our own journey in this. Mine is on his own journey, and I know he's on his own journey. We were all on our own journey. And I had posed this idea, and he was like, all right, I'm down, And that's how this happened as far as the communication and understanding that the creative... See, you told me to put on silent and that's the phone going off. It's going to be in the podcast because that's authentic.
We're going to let it ring. He's very important people. They're calling you. I don't
understand how alarm go through. See, that was an alarm to make sure I'm on time.
Oh, okay.
But it was
timeliness counts.
With a late alarm too. But anyway, that is the inception of Diff is really because we wanted just to keep the creative in everything that we do. Not no hoity-toity job, and also feeling that other artists and other people need this, but don't have the business base to go with the creative angle.
Okay. So then y'all come into this. You've been in New York doing things from a more corporate angle. You, TK, have now been in Seattle doing a lot of the human work, but really seeing how that connects to creative opportunities. And now y'all come back together to start this business as friends. Even in ideal situations where there is like the utmost respect and trust, people are individuals with their own, approaches, tolerance level, temperaments, limitations. Did you all initially decide, okay, we're going to divvy up duties based on what you're good at and what I'm good at? Or did you just come together and say, we're each going to do it all and figure it out as we go?
We kind of have a natural relationship to just kind of tackle what needs to be done. And we have great communication. So we'll talk every day. So we're both aware of the to-do list, the problems, and we have kind of naturally divided services into individual tasks, right? So like I'll head up anything that is design, marketing, or kind of like campaign related. TK is a head of audio, video, and youth workshops. And then we'll come together for larger projects, right? Where I'll come on as a producer. He'll pick up as a director. So there's some natural segmentation that happens. Other than that, since we are both Sagittarius, like we both just do things, right? So I'll just pop up like, hey, I got this. And then he'll be like, not on my radar, but thank you. It's just like we're both doing things in the benefit of the company, and we both have really good judgment. And like I said, since we've known each other for so long, we have a feel for each other's taste. I kind of know how he would position himself on certain things. And then if it's something where we definitely need to like run it by each other, then we'll just say, hey, I'm thinking this, what do you think? And then, it's just, I think communication has been the biggest thing for us.
Mm-hmm. And for me too, it's communication, but it's also then, like he said, it's the intuitiveness of when you work with someone. Like we done been growing up in Oakland, all kind of situations, which I won't say on this podcast. But but we've been. It's like we've seen our character tested, and really when you grow up too, like now that we're adults, and I get to see him as a man, you see certain people are consistently who they are. Mm-hmm. So you get to trust that this is going to happen, So like with me, I feel like I'm never going to let this fail. And I know he feels the exact same way. I like 100% feel that, you know what I mean? So, and that's something I've never felt with someone, as far as like when you're working with somebody, like, you know, like when you're doing like a project with somebody, like, I know I'm gonna have to do the goddamn flashcards and this. He ain't gonna have the flashcards when we get there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that type of situation. He gonna have the flashcards. He gonna bring the TV. And you know,
He got your back.
He got the TV. You know, so that's what it is as far as our camaraderie in this. And we want to do this. It's not just for us. We want to do this for everybody else too. So this is like, Diff is very much so a business, corporation, whatever you want to call it, that is really grow with us. You know what I'm saying? While we grow, you grow with us. As you see, you're recording right now. You recorded here and you didn't record before.
We're going to get into all that.
You know?
Yes.
But yeah, so that's all I say about that.
Yeah, I have one more thing that kind of separates us too as far as roles. So TK is the founder, CEO. I'm co-founder, COO. And something that I've noticed, and we've talked about this too, is I'm very detail oriented, most times reserved in my own head. I can like jump into networking mode if I have to, or if I want to. But TK, like I have siblings. TK is the only child. I don't know if that plays anything into it, but TK, he'll go out, he'll talk to people. He's always networking. He can be reserved when he wants to be, but I feel like he will do it. Like he's out, like, you feel me? He'll make it happen. And I feel like those two things has really set us up for success, because you can think of TK as like the captain and the playmaker. He'll throw it to me, and then I'm like the execution, and we'll put the operations together, and then we have our team together that's, you know, making sure that everything gets done. So that really helps keep the momentum going. And once you get into this business, we've been in business for 6 years now, you realize that if you're trying to scale, you have to do everything at once, but you have to do it strategically. It's like, you got to do sales, you got to do the work, you got to do sales again, right? So like, it helps to have those roles kind of divided, where it's like, we know TK is always going to be out there meeting people, bringing in work. He doesn't have to worry about every time how it's going to get done, which lets him focus on growth. And then I focus on operations, and we both delegate to the team to make sure it gets done how we want it to do.
I like what y'all are saying. Really a little bit of the same thing about growing with people, right? And then having specific things that you specialize in. Like Mont, you and I work together on my website. TK, you and I work together on video and editing. So a lot of the video projects you see TK in the background, you know, with the camera. Talking about the creative environment, and I've only been doing K in the Bay and the podcast for 3 years, but underneath that, you know, there's a number of verticals. So when you talk about either reinvention or like holding space in different creative lanes, especially for people who are maybe like on their second or third act as creatives, what approach have you each taken with people who are rebranding in a place where their original brand may already be known? Like, how do you try to position people so that it's easier for them to move to the next iteration of whatever it is they're going to be doing? TK, you start with you.
Okay. Really seeing what their mission, their personal mission statement is. We like to see, you know, we get to know every brand, and we could do the, you know, I would say the cookie cutter way of doing it. But we kind of get to know who that person is and what their own personal mission statement is, and what they want, why do they do what they do? What is the inner workings of that, right? We get to know their own personal story, and we build from that. So when we are reinventing someone's brand, it comes from an authentic place, than opposed to, let's get you more followers, let's get you more likes. We say, hey, let's get some people that actually care about what you're doing, and so you can wake up every day and want to do this, you know? So we do the same thing here. It's like we reinvent ourselves all the time. You know, we might be like, you know, we ain't doing that no more, or this is corny to us, or whatever it may be. Like, we have our own ideas and thought processes around that.
Yeah, and I think that's important, because right now with everything staying on the internet a little bit longer, unless you just pull it down, people are going to remember when you were doing something else. So you have two scenarios. You have one for the people that just keep their brand going, right? And they reinvent the mission or the services that they're offering, but it's always still that brand. So people don't never forget or lose that brand equity that they've already built. Mm-hmm. And then you have the people that just start completely fresh, like, oh, this is a completely new endeavor, where it's like, okay, cool. I like that type of segmentation too, because now you can come fresh, you can try something completely new. But in this digital age, people are still going to recognize you, the founder or the person behind it, and still associate everything you've done to that point. So I think it is really important to do what TK is saying, where it's like, find those people that really resonate with what service or craft or product that you're working with, and take them on a journey with you, right? Because those are going to be your loyal supporters. Those are going to be the people that go with you from each platform. I kind of think it's funny, right? Because each time a new social platform came out, over the last 20 years, the same people that followed you on Twitter are now the same people that's going to follow you on Instagram to get started. And then those are going to be most likely the same people that migrate over with you to TikTok, right? You're going to add people to that list, and then you're not going to see them or hear them, but they're still in the background rooting for you. So I think it's important just to stay true to who you are and try to find your community.
Can I say something about that right quick? I was not going to get on TikTok. Mm-hmm. I just very recently, and I mean like in the last 2 months, got on TikTok. I was getting my hair done, and my stylist said, I think your content would do good on TikTok. You should go set up a profile. And I was like, okay, what do I have to lose? I'll just repurpose things that I already have. So I go on TikTok. I don't follow anybody. I just start uploading existing things, and things just started. Okay, there's 500 views, then 1,000, then 5,000. Now one video is like up to 16,000. I think what I like about TikTok, and I compared it, I was talking to a friend. I don't know anything about this, what I'm about to say. I'm just giving an example. TikTok is a one night stand. Wham, bam, thank you, that was cute, have a nice day. Instagram is a relationship. I got to see if I like you, take you out. Well, let's talk about what happened last night. Well, I think I need a little bit of a break. Like, you have to put a lot more effort into Instagram to keep people engaged. So working with creative partners that understand that is helpful. And I know if you're listening, you're probably like, what does this episode have to do with food? It doesn't have anything to do with food, but it does have to do with finding the right creative partners, because you will need that. And I've needed it to help convey the story of Kay in the Bay in the As Told By podcast. In case, I'm sure somebody out there was like, I'm confused. And to that point, I know we've had a lot of conversations. TK, we definitely have had our conversations.
Therapy sessions.
Business therapy, you call it.
Business therapy.
Where you might say, I think it's time for you to have or invest in fill in the blank. And, I don't make any secret of the fact that the As Told By podcast is not yet fully monetized. And so there's been plenty of times where I said, I'm not buying that. It doesn't make sense for me to have it. Why do I need a website right now? I'm not selling anything, only to get maybe a few months down the road and be glad that I had it in place, because now a situation came about and I needed it. So, Lamont, I'll ask you this, and then TK, I'll come to you. With socioeconomic times being what they are, people have sometimes limited means to invest. So what would you say to people who know that they need creative services, but they just maybe don't have the budget right now? What are the top 2 or 3 things they should focus on as absolutes?
For that, the number one thing is going to be invest in yourself. And that can be invest in learning the best practices for what you're trying to do, learning the equipment, and then getting whatever tools you can to get started. You don't have to start with the best, but you just need to start. We wouldn't have any clients unless they started, right? We have some clients who are well into their journey and they are looking to upgrade things. We have clients who have the idea, but they don't have the tools, and they don't want to, invest in the tools, so they come to us. But they had the epiphany to just start. So the most important thing is to invest in yourself and to start. And then as far as budget things, for us, when we grew this business, we didn't make money from it, right? Because everything we got, equipment wise, office space wise, we put back into the business. So all the money we were getting off of jobs and gigs went back into the business. So I think it's really important to just think about like where you're trying to be and then walk yourself down that road. I feel like people are always going to say, you know, well, I'm not where I want to be. They're looking at this other person who's doing what they want to do. But if you go back into that person's story, you're going to see them at like level 0, right? People like to look at Kai Cenat right now as like the largest streamer in the world, multimillionaire. He started, you know, in his room.
Which is still mind blowing to me. That whole concept. Story for another day.
So it's just, you got to start, and then you got to invest in yourself. Like you said, you gotta buy the tools. You got to start with what you can find, what you can afford, and then you incrementally upgrade. And that comes with services too. So if you know that you don't have the time and you don't want to learn in that stuff, but you're like the idea person, then you have to invest in those services to get you that other part that you're missing.
What do you add to that, TK?
I would say find your shovel, find your hammer, and find your nail. And
elaborate.
I'm freestyling, y'all. So, you know, but it gets somewhere. Because that's how my brain thinks. You know, sometimes I'm like, what do people actually? Because what I think about is, how do people even do things? Like, we say tools, but you have a shovel. Like, imagine the first person with a shovel. And it was like, everybody was just digging their hands in the dirt using a stick. It was like, nah, bro. Your hands only can do so much. You know, you need this to pierce the ground. You need this. And then someone's like, okay, now we got the wood. We knocked it down. Okay, cool. Let's put it together. We need something. The nails can keep it together, but we need the hammer, the pressure from us. And also, when using those tools, you respect the work, you know, of how hard it takes you to really put these things together. Like, man, I've been shoveling all day. So there's a bunch of things, and why I say that, and I'm boiling it down to make it more simplistic of the metaphor, is that you got to know what people are using to build their empire. You know, you have to know that people have a moat. They got the alligators. Like, imagine the moat without the alligators. You know, people just fall in the water and jump out. You know, like it's
sounds like a pool.
It's like, hey,
sounds like a good time.
Everything has a function to it, right? So, learning and respecting the functionality of business and what you're going in, and really learning the tools, seeing people. When I watched a lot of people before we even did this, you know, I saw people's pitfalls. I learned from that. I heard my dad telling me about being an entrepreneur and other entrepreneurs. And I really just wanted freedom. I wanted freedom to be able to create with my friends and make money and sustain ourselves. But as from you creators out there making these things happen, you can't fight it. And this is going back to with the tools. It's just like, hey, what? I'm not gonna get no headphones. You want to record yourself. I'm not gonna be like, that's the genuine part about ourselves, is just like, I'm not gonna say, oh, well, you ain't gonna record with Diff Works, we don't need you. You know, nah, I respect that, because you're getting your shovel, your nail, and your hammer. You know, like, here it goes. But guess what? Now you got to learn to edit. You got to learn to edit.
You'll be back.
You'll be back. It's like, oh, all I got is a shovel. All I got is a shovel. So it's really about personal growth, building the people around you, right? When you learn your tools, and then people see you on that journey, and people, when you have clients, you can talk about that journey, how you got to where you're at. And they can relate, and they have that your own, like, man, I didn't know none of this stuff. You didn't know none of this stuff either. Like, because I think a lot of people think when you do this, you're some magical being that it just works for you. And that's not true. It works for everybody. They just have reached a point in themselves where they can actualize it and manifest it in their own particular way. So sometimes you got to figure that out.
I hear you. So there's not like, you have to have a website, you have to record in the studio, you have to have merch, you have to have a newsletter. It really is deeply situational and nuanced.
It is. And also it's working and it's chipping away at it every day. So all those things will come as you work on it every day. Like you just start with the idea and then the next day you're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go use my phone and I'm going to find someone on the street to record a podcast. And now the next day, now you got to figure out, you got to solve another problem. Where am I going to upload this podcast to? Then you solve another problem. How am I going to spread the word about this podcast? So business is really problem solving, and there's new problems at each level. Like for us, once we started getting bigger contracts and going after bigger organizations, then they're like, oh, well, you need this amount of business insurance. And we're like, damn, that costs $1,000 a month. Now we have to solve that problem, right? So it's just each tier, each level teaches you something new. You have to love the process. I think me and TK really love business and growing it. And also, it's a game. It's a challenge for us. But we're also trying to build this family environment with everyone who's along on this journey with us. We're going somewhere. We're headed somewhere, right? We're building a future together of freedom, of financial security, and we're doing things that we actually love as creatives.
You know, TK, you and I have talked about this. I am still actively struggling to see entrepreneurship as financial freedom. I don't know that I necessarily see those two things together, but I learned watching people like you all own your time and be able to navigate these vicissitudes of, you know, we need to build up client base, and now there's all this client base, and, you know, we need to drive revenue, and now something happens and there's revenue. You just have to be able to sustain the pendulum, right, of highs and lows. And also, just as, you know, someone relatively new in this space, you know when you feel like it's time for you to have the next thing. Like for me, it was starting to go to these professional environments. I remember being at the James Beard Awards, and as you're networking and meeting people, and I was giving out my Instagram. And that did not didn't feel right for me. No, I think it was at Black Women in Food Summit. The first time I was like, I don't think I want to do this. It just doesn't represent what I'm doing, you know, fully. And so then I had to come back on my little ashy, you know, okay, I guess I need a website. I'll pay the money. So you have to just be paying attention. Sometimes you could get by without things for a little while, but you know when you need things, right? And then you just need to find the right people that can help you bring that to life.
Yeah, and just building your own personal brand is going to be the most important thing you've ever done, because a business, even getting a job, they're going to be like, well, what have you done on your own? You know, like, okay, that seals the deal even more. Like, okay, you worked at these places. That's great. You know, they recognize that and they see your abilities. And also on my free time, I've made $1 million off of what's the name? You know, so it builds up your own personal brand equity. And what I would say, too, as far as your entrepreneurial thinking that it isn't a way out right now, is that I'm going to just say it to the whole world. You better do something. You better do something. Because, hey, now, pay attention. You know, McDonald's, it's about to make itself. Okay, it's about to
make itself. Right.
It's about to you about to get it all in one spot, whatever you want. So yeah,
I feel like what you're saying is it's becoming increasingly difficult to rely on outside employment. You might want to get something that you are the driver of the income.
Yeah, and not to be too deep. I'm trying to keep this not too deep podcast. Okay, conspiracy podcast, cause no, we're not gonna do that. But what I will say is just, you know, I love history, you know, because I love to see how people did things great and messed up and how things came to be. Where a lot of us just work at these companies are in just our aspect of this company. And you just like, I ain't tripping. What is HR? What is operations? What is all those different things? We just showing up and lifting the thing every day and coming back. But you're going to have to learn something, because in history, there was an industrial revolution, right? And that's why when machines, the train and different things like that happen, right? But imagine, like, my mom picked cotton, right, in South Carolina, right? mind you, they were still picking cotton. The cotton gin was made. Cotton gin is really what separates the seed from the cotton, right? And that's machines. So they were like, we going to have your, now they got to put all the kids out there, which is entrepreneurship. Like, hey, this is my labor force to make this money against the machine, right? So what I'm saying is there's always going to be in a capitalistic system for you trying to get ahead. And I don't want to be sitting at a desk when the robots come. I'd rather be at home designing something when they come.
Child, not the robots.
The freedom.
I think,
and we're speaking freedom. That's what we're talking right now.
Okay.
Most Bay Area people, they all have side hustles, right? Like, I feel like a side hustle is just a thing that people have now, which is crazy, right? Like, you mean you like to work 2 jobs? So I think it's just
The way you said that.
it's something that's just here now, right? I feel like, you feel me, maybe like 50, 60 years ago, when there were more small businesses, the economy was better. People were happier. People had more free time to do what they want. And that's kind of what we noticed when we were on this journey, right? We might get a contract for $60,000 and might execute that contract in a month. That's someone's salary for the whole year. So when you start to look at that time balance, like, oh, I can just go get more contracts, then that's when you start to piece it together. Now, what people don't realize when people are saying like, oh, it's so easy, it's not, because out of that 60, you still have cost of goods, you got to pay bills, you have overhead. So you don't really get that whole thing, which means you got to really be strategic in how you approach this. That's the game of business. That's the whole strategy. But if you manage that and get good at that, then that's when you really start to excel. And you don't have to be this huge conglomerate, this big business. I think that's where we kind of saw the world kind of messing up right now, where it's like, it's too big and only the people at the top get the profits. But no, you find your niche, you find your product, you find your community, and you manage it for your size, and you'll be solid. Just how our grandmothers were, probably, right? I feel like a lot of our grandmothers, or maybe their mothers, had their own type of property. Like West Oakland used to be booming with entrepreneurs and black owned shops. And that time, the black community was thriving here in Oakland too.
Yeah. And also and this is, I'm talking to Kahja right now.
Oh, Lord.
We're talking to her right now. Okay. And along with that, right? Because some of this, there's a divide where how do I get that? Because it's the belief in self. Like, how do I get that? Like I was saying earlier about maybe those things just happen uniquely to you. But sometimes you just got to see what you got. You just got to, for us, we're Sagittarius. And this is who we are innately. It's just like, I'm not going to leave this planet until I see what I got, you know? And having that personal drive and wanting to eat food. You want food, right?
And good food.
You want food?
Yes.
You want the luxuries of life? You can get a regular salary from say San Francisco, you get you $200,000. That and we've learned this really just to learn what actual numbers are in our mind, what we think it is just like, okay, you getting $200,000 in San Francisco, you really got a $80,000 job. After paying everything, paying the bills and paying all these different things, you really ain't got no money. But there's all kind of tax strategy. There's different things that you learn when you're doing business, right? So like we learn we're a LLC with a S corp election, right? Which is just literally a piece of paper that you sign and say, hey, I don't want my taxes to be considered an S corp. What does an S corp do, audience? It reduces your taxes to a different type of taxing, right? Which is 30% of your wages are taxed through a W-2 and all the rest of it's yours. So if the IRS is listening, I know those things change, but still, I'm just giving you a rough idea of what it is, right? We're trying to survive and we're building this for our families. You know what I'm saying? We're building the empire for our family. So basically, like we was talking about our grandmothers and grandfathers, there was a unit. You can go down the street and get you some eggs. You know, you can, hey, I loan you $100. Like I assumed that everybody was poor in my family until I went and looked at the history and seen that his property was more than the white folks.
So clearly, y'all are pro entrepreneurship.
We want to live, Kahja.
Yeah, but we are. we absolutely are.
Yes.
I think the world is shifting that way regardless, though, just because everything else is failing. So it's like resetting. We're millennials, right? So we were told, go to college, go spend $60,000 to $100,000, and then you're going to get out and get a good job. That ain't happening for us, right? So the generation under us, they're like, well, I'm not about to go to college. I'm about to go make money on the internet doing drop shipping or, Uber Eats or something. They are already shifting the world back to this either gig economy or entrepreneurship because everything else didn't work. So it's a cycle.
Yeah.
So let's say, let's assume the person who's getting started has bought into entrepreneurship or even just being a side hustle, right? But they've bought into that. They're getting ready to go into their creative endeavor. They're looking for the right creative partner. Talk about the process of trusting someone else to translate you, right? You and your brand. What should people be looking for when they are looking to enter into a creative partnership?
Well, I would say is some of the elements that we're saying, like it's a lot of scams out there these days. So when people are trying to really find a person to build with them, I would say, look up, are they actually doing what they say they do? Right. So looking to see any past clients and their success rate or whatever. Also learning what, you can't get in this and not know what something looks like, right? You should know what examples or somebody doing it well and study those people who are doing it well, right? Who are working with partners that are actually helping them actualize these ideas, right? So you got to have a frame of reference, because if not, you're just going to be going out here. Because we have a lot of clients, I wouldn't say a lot of clients. We have levels to our clients. So there are certain levels to our clients where our clients really don't know what's good or not. They just know that it's just a checkbox that they need to get done, right? But then we ask questions with how we work at Diff Works is this function? Do you have functionality in this? Do you need, like, say, a website? Are people going to book through you? Are they going to your logo? And then our own personal view, like, hey, not to say anything bad about your logo, Kahja.
We've had that conversation.
We had this. This could be, and it's not that it's bad. It's about, does it translate, right? Hey, you got a logo with 7 colors on it. Okay, so what is your color? What does your logo look like with 1 color? Can it happen? Is it possible? If I put this on a shirt, if I remember I sent you a whole diagram of how logos changed over time.
Indeed. Yes, you did.
And we had a whole come to the light moment, She's laughing because it's true.
It's true. I've been fighting for my that little woman you see on the As Told by podcast logo. She looked cute, but she has some functional issues. So she may be evolving and changing over time.
Yeah.
Over time.
And then for me, I think when you're trying to find a creative partner, it's finding someone that understands your message and what you're trying to get across. You got to find someone that is transparent with you, right? That tells you the truth. Like, this is not going to work because of these reasons. You have to have trust with them that they know what they're doing, that they are, an expert at whatever it is that you guys are working on together. I think where people really bond with us is we have that level of professionalism when we need to turn it on. We are constantly evolving and learning the best practices of everything that we touch, right? And then we are super relatable. Like, we're going to tell you, like, this ain't working, this ain't it. We might even tell you we won't pick up the project because of a certain reason. And that builds trust. Like, oh, they're not just trying to get my money. Like, we might tell you, no, you should, it'll be cheaper if you do this yourself. And here's the tools to go do it. And then come back to us when you want to level that up. So I think it's about building trust. We have the habit, the good habit of taking on every project like it's our own. So it feels like whenever we touch something, like it's a personal project for us. So we want it to be successful. And I think finding a good creative partner has to have that level of ownership over what they're working on.
What do you say to people who, now with the advent of AI, what do you say to people who feel like I could just use the technology to make these things? Like, I don't need to work with a creative partner.
They're going to hit limitations. AI is just a tool, just like everything else, right? So you're going to get out of it, or you're going to hit limitations rather, right? So you might get something, but you want it tweaked, and now you can't tweak it because it's not editable. You can like have revisions on it, but it's still not quite right. Right now, you can get something that's good for digital, but you can't blow that up and get it printed because it's not high enough resolution. I feel like it's going to evolve, and AI is a good tool to add, just like, a computer is, right? You don't have to write everything by hand anymore. AI and computers are going to make you faster, which means that you can take your art further. But what a lot of people don't realize also is you might give AI a prompt and it's going to give you the detailed steps of how to do something, but there's still going to be a learning curve. Is there software involved in that you don't know or own? Is there equipment involved in that you don't know or own? So you're still going to need to work with people to execute that thing. I read something recently that was saying like, we're going to have a shortage of project managers because there's going to be so much AI that employers and workforce wants, but there's not enough project managers to actually coordinate and facilitate that stuff to get done.
Mm-hmm. So, faster is good, but it doesn't take away the human touch. Mm-mm. What is next? We're coming up on the end of the year in about 2.5 months. What is coming up down the road for DiffWorks, TK?
Wow. I'll let you say the big one. What's coming for DiffWorks is a lot of, I would say, team redirection, like I would say redirection because we're heading in a direction, but redirecting it into something even more fluid, something more efficient. We're efficient now. That's why I said we love the system. So we're always looking at how is this working and that's working, and they doing it at Amazon. Do they got AI agents in there? And do they have, like what is more efficient? So we like to learn the different forms of technology to expand our business and make our business more functional and user friendly. Mm-hmm. So, it could be a new website, it could be whatever like that. But it's a lot of new things as far as content, our own personal content that we're shooting for as far as a business is coming out. Also, just more visibility of our business, just pushing it more as far as the marketing angles. Because, like when we're marketing other people, it's like we don't have time to market ourselves. Yeah. So just those things, and seeing we're doing a lot of dope stuff with a lot of different people. We want to show that too, and bring those people in and highlight those people like, hey, this is what we did for you, and to just tell their own personal stories, because we work with a lot of great people such as yourself.
Thank you for that.
That have eclectic stories and personal stories that people will learn from. So we always want to put a lot of content out there that inspire other people, and not just bring us clients, but show that there is hope. There is a way. A lot of people sitting in their house drawing, amazing artists, amazing whatever they do, right? But they don't know that there is, if you just put a business model to it, you can make it happen, Mm-hmm. And I will say, moving into we're already a partnership, but I'm always happy to see the years of that we're doing this, because me and Mike get more synced in. Mm-hmm. We do have our times where we're like, all right, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but that's when stuff stops working the way it should work. Mm-hmm. And then we always have our reel in moments and understand why we had to do that. Like, man, I had to just do this myself and learn and get my idea out. And usually we get our ideas out, but sometimes in those times we going on our journeys, like, I ain't talked to mine about a week. Where he at? What he doing? I know he thinking about something.
Happens like that.
I know he thinking something. Calling him and like, what you going through? All right, bro. Like, we gonna, you know what I'm saying? So,
but y'all got some other exciting things coming down the pipe. If I had a bell, I would hit the exclusive button, because we're about to get an exclusive. What is this exciting thing that's coming up?
Yeah, so we're moving into a bigger facility, which is, something that we've been working on for the past year. And we tried to make it happen in our 5th year of business because we thought that would be a nice milestone, but it's happening in our 6th year. Sometimes it just works out like that. But this new facility is a part of our larger plan, which is kind of what TK was mentioning. Is I'll phrase it as we're becoming more commercialized. So we're gonna make our business a lot more visible, louder, approachable, to bring in more clients. And a new facility is going to allow us to tackle larger productions. So we'll be able to build out some sets. We'll be able to have different stations for different types of services. I'm thinking we might have a little small set for people who want to just TikTok shop. They don't have a spot at their home, but they can come to our facility, live stream all day and sell on TikTok. It's going to have, all the services that are currently under our umbrella, just expanded. So, audio, photo, video, we're going to have bigger space for our youth workshops, design, marketing campaigns. We'll be able to do, some small events. And we're really excited about this move.
Very nice. Well, I'm excited to see what comes of that for y'all. And let me just take this moment to give y'all both your flowers. When y'all listen to this podcast and you hear the theme music, when the sound is good, the edits, when you see some of these video projects that I'm doing, when you go to my website, kandthebay.com, all of these things I have worked in partnership with them on. So Lamont, thank you so much for everything you've added. And TK, thank you so much for everything you added. TK would get at me sometimes. We were having deep conversations where, I really get some things to chew on and think about. So my businesses would not be what they are without the assistance and the partnership from you all. Tell people where they can find out more about DiffWorks.
You can follow us on most socials at stay, STAY _Diff, DIFF. That's our website also, staydiff.com. And I would like to say that this podcast is still about food because it's food for thought.
Okay.
And also about food, I was going to bring it into food, was a lot of us met a lot of artists at the taco truck, and I actually got the idea of the systems of Diff work by going to a taco truck, because this one lady, I think it was 48, she had a stand. She had a little stand. Then it got bigger. Then it got bigger. And then it was and then they got a whole truck, right? And then I went there and I was seeing that they got 2 grills in there. And I'm like, we all can do this. We all can do, if we just innovate and keep expanding, keep pushing the limits of what our thoughts are or what it is, and learn the systems and how to do that and be better each time, you can make it happen. So shout out to the taco trucks for that.
Taco trucks are selling more than tacos. They're selling entrepreneurial dreams and visions.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna put the hoagie spot that I'm talking about, but when I saw them serving all the people hoagies, but wasn't eating the hoagies, I said, "Wait a minute here."
How you know they're not eating the hoagies?
I went in there. I'm like, every time I went in there, I'm like, why y'all they eating salads?
I mean, if I worked at a hoagie shop, I probably wouldn't eat a hoagie every day.
Oh, goodness.
I'm like, me. I'm thinking in my mind, like, y'all ain't eating the hoagies.
Listen, I think the through line is use your food endeavors to inform and inspire your entrepreneurial endeavors. I've enjoyed
and learn the system. Learn the system.
Learn the system.
I had to cut you off.
I'm gonna have to do a part 2. TK has lots to say. We'll do a part 2.
I'm keeping it PG as best as I can.
Do your best. Well, that is where you can find information on them. If you want to keep up with me in between episodes, you can find me at kandthebay.com or on Instagram at HeyKandTheBay. That has been this week's episode of the As Told by podcast here in Oakland with the good folks at DiffWorks. And I'll see y'all on the next one.
Hey.